All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 11 o'clock session, Apparel Design and Brand Sponsorships for Athletes. This one is brought to you by VII Apparel Company. I'm here with Todd Curran, who will be able to answer some of your questions in the chat. And if we have some time after the video plays, he will be able to come on video and answer a couple questions live. You can also interact with us in our Slack channel. That is SAT11 VII Design. You can find that in Slack by using the search function. As always, I'd like to mention our partnership with This Is How We Fly, young adult novel about Quidditch. Highly recommend you pick it up and check it out. And if you'll give us a moment here, we'll get our video set up and we'll be raring to go. One second here while we get our video sound sorted out.
What does it mean to be powered by Savage? It means we become part of your team. From the moment you're paired with one of our sales reps who will guide you through the ordering process, to working with a designated member of our design team to bring your vision to life. Every step of the production process happens in-house, from printing your gear on our green line fabric made from 100% recycled plastic bottles, to cutting out every piece and carefully stitching it together by hand. Wherever you are, however you play, we've got your back. That's what it means to be powered by Savage.
Okay. How do we look? Fantastic. All right. Well, hey, everybody. I'm Todd Curran. I'm Dan Lee. And we're with VII Apparel Company. And we're very excited to be at QuidCon 2021. It's been about a year of not really any Quidditch going on, so we're super excited to be a part of this.
Most other sports.
Or any sports.
Yeah.
But so we're coming to you live. Actually, it's taped, but we will be doing questions at the end of this. So we hope you hang tight and kind of come into this QuidCon 2021, and we're going to be going over apparel designs and sponsorships. Something that we are very accustomed to with VII Apparel Company. And let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, we're going to start with some intros.
Oh,
yeah.
Who are you?
So my name's Dan Lee. So I'll go first, I guess. I joined VII Apparel about 5 years ago. I came on to the company, I think, just a little bit after Todd had started working with the MLQ. So it was kind of my first experience learning about, understanding Quidditch. Since then, I've worked with, I want to say hundreds of Quidditch teams, both national and international, working on their uniforms. I am generally the lead as far as executing our sponsorship with MLQ. Personally, I am a resident of Richmond, Virginia. I have a baby on the way.
Ooh, very fun.
And I did also just open up a second business next door to VII Apparel. And as far as my sports background goes, I was a player starter for my college rugby team. Before all of this happened, I played local rec, soccer and volleyball pretty weekly. And outside of that, I love sports, I love jerseys, and love this company.
Awesome. Good to hear. Glad he doesn't hate the company. So that would be a little weird. Well, I'm Todd Curran. I started what was Savage Apparel Company back in 2009. This past year, we did do a rename for VII Apparel Company. Our new website's viiapparel.co, so make sure you check that out. I started VII back in 2009. It was actually in the last crazy financial crisis that we had. And just started doing screen printing in my guest room because I had done it back in college. And started going after ultimate frisbee teams, quickly grew the company to where we just started expanding to different sports. And I believe in 2014, 2015, we kind of got our big break in the Quidditch world. We had been working with a couple teams here and there for maybe a year or two before that, but Major League Quidditch came online, and we reached out pretty quickly, and they were super excited to partner up with us. Actually made their first website, which I always like stating. It has definitely been updated and upgraded over the past couple years. So way to go, Dallas and Ethan, for your leadership on that side. But I played ultimate frisbee in college. That was my club sport. Played it after college as well. And when we started getting into these different sports, I try to just kind of get accustomed with them. I've been to many Quidditch events and Quidditch games, and it was always really fun to go out there and kind of test my skills against some of the players, especially at the Pan American Games, I think 2 years ago. I got to go out and just kind of compete against some of the Team Mexico and Team USA people and see how I could do. I was not that good. But I feel like I could hold my own for a little bit. But I'm old. I also have I have a 4-year-old son named Oliver. He's loving hearing about Quidditch and Harry Potter and stuff like that. So it's really fun to kind of relive that a little bit from my youth. And we're expecting him to, just be a sports fanatic while he grows up. And so he's been to a couple of the Quidditch matches over the past couple of years, and he's definitely enjoyed it. So that's me.
Cool. So we're gonna be here talking about apparel designs and sponsorships. So I think it wouldn't be right to not talk about the other sponsorships we've had in the past. Over the past, we have worked with several top-level organizations in MLQ. I'm gonna let Todd share a little bit about that history.
Sure. So, like I said, 2014-15 is when MLQ started. Reached out really quickly and created a relationship. And it was in a very exciting time. We were able to work together, collaborate on many of the things to make sure that, we were in the conversation of how Quidditch was going to be looked at on a professional level, that higher level. And so it was really exciting to be part of that growth and also the design side of that to make just decisions based off of, how everybody's going to look, how are the players going to be, given their uniforms, and, how this is going to work out with fandom. And it's been a really wonderful, couple years working with MLQ, and that's blossomed definitely into, creating new programs, creating new opportunities throughout the entire Quidditch world. That just kind of skyrocketed us right into QPL, Quidditch Premier League, which was the UK version of MLQ. Unfortunately, they did have to shut down due to the pandemic for last year and this year. Fingers crossed they're able to come back. I've been able to go to 2 of the championships, and so it's my excuse to get to Europe every year. So bring it back, Jack. Let's go. And also the U.S. national team, we were able to work with them as well as Mexico. Which was really, really fun, just to kind of collaborate more directly with the players themselves. It is definitely a player-funded sport still, and so there's different opportunities that we can offer, with our company to allow for maybe that barrier of entry to get a little bit just less expensive. And so we're able to create some fun things with the U.S. national team, making some player programs where, players were able to sell their uniforms to increase, funding that went to them specifically or to the team specifically. And then I'll hand it back over to Dan for some other partnerships that we've done.
So I think many of you might be a part of this group, and maybe we have some international friends with us as well. We've definitely worked with some IQA. At the national team level, we've worked with some IQA teams, and we get a lot of inquiries from U.S. Quidditch teams. That's the major governing body of, organized play here stateside. And, I get emails. There may be some of you out there who have spoken with me directly in the past. Maybe I've just been kind of in the background, making sure we had programs available for you that we could offer you jersey assistance, ways for you to pay for and get your jerseys, get discounts, stuff like that. And that's really, top to bottom why we're here. We want to take you through the process that we go through with teams. have a long conversation about what sponsorships look like, both with us and through other companies and organizations, and hopefully give you the information, and the knowledge, and empowerment to go out there, earn some money for your team, find ways to grow the sport, find ways to afford your uniforms and your jerseys, and really make an impact in the growth of Quidditch from individual team level. So hopefully we're able to do that with you. And so we're going to go ahead and jump into what it looks like when we start to work with teams. At the onset of the conversation, the first thing that always kind of happens is we have a short conversation about apparel and apparel printing and a little bit of education as to what teams can look forward to, what teams can get from us. As a company, we really focus on our new proprietary fabric. I'm going to do a little sales plug here. We are wearing some of our fully sublimated gear. Our fully sublimated gear is now made on our green line fabric. It is made of recycled bottles, 100% made of recycled bottles. And then it is also UPF 50 plus rated, so it'll protect your skin. Important for people like me who have had skin cancer in the past. No sympathy needed, just putting that out there. Y'all got to protect yourselves. It's also got an antimicrobial wash infused in it so that, as you wear it time after time, play after play, it doesn't get so smelly. It's made here stateside with a
I smell okay. I smell
get
it.
a good sniff test in there. It's made here with a very small carbon footprint as far as transport. It's milled in North Carolina, transported to Richmond for cutting and sewing, and then shipped out from here wherever we need to. We've also made strides this past year in making sure that we have production facilities in Canada, in France, and in Southeast Asia to make sure that when we do engage with international customers that we are creating those garments in the part of the world that they live, again, both to reduce carbon footprint, but also to provide jobs to the economies where these people are living. So green line, full sublimation is the way to go. Full sublimation has a lot of benefits. One is you're never going to have a chip, crack, fade in the garment, the fabric, or in the design, that is, because it's embedded in the fiber. It also gives you the possibility to design all over the garment as opposed to localized printing. We do offer the other types of printing, screen printing, spot sublimation, which is still sublimation, just more localized printing to smaller areas, embroidery, and these things are can be more cost effective, but we're hoping that through the sponsorship conversation, you'll always want to go with the higher and more premier option. You have probably seen our full sublimation options through MLQ, through IQA, through USNT, USNT for Quidditch. So that's what we'll be talking about whenever you talk with us about jersey design. So once we have that education, then it really gets down to what do we want to print? What is the design going to look like? And for that, I'm going to pass it back off to Todd.
Perfect. And one big thing I do want to push forward with is whenever you do the full sublimation, it does allow for you to put unlimited sponsorship logos on the jersey. So if you do have to go with the cheaper product, just a localized, blue jersey with a logo on the front, numbers on the back, you do have to pay for multiple prints if it's outside of some specific things. So there are a lot of benefits to using the fully sublimated design, especially if you are going after sponsorships, because you can do full color design as well as multiple locations, sleeve hits, back neck, back underneath the numbers, put something here. A lot of different options for that. But yeah, I'm going to take you through pretty much apparel designing and what that process looks like. So we are, a full service apparel designer. So we do get customers calling us up and asking for us to design completely from scratch what they are looking for. And that's something that we are really excited that we do. It's one of our, I think one of our favorite things is, coming to the design side, creating something brand new, and then taking it all the way to finish and getting it out to the teams to be really excited about it. And we have to recognize that design services take time. So please recognize that usually it takes about a week to 3 weeks on average for designs to get finalized and approved before the order takes place. And then once the order is ordered in, it takes another 3 to 5 weeks. 6 weeks is our maximum time to get the orders out the door. And so just make sure that you're working backwards from there. So giving us an ample amount of time to design something really smart and really good. Also recognize that there are limitations to designing. There's limitations to the different print processes, limitations to colors, like we can't sublimate metallic gold. We get asked that a lot, and also neon colors. That just doesn't, that's not an opportunity that that sublimation provides. So just kind of recognize that usually the first conversation is going to be an understanding of what you're looking for, as well as what maybe the capabilities that the design or the jersey manufacturer has the ability to do. Let's see. A little jumping around there. Let's go over here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that you have a clarity of vision of what you're looking for. Now, that doesn't mean you need to have a full, drawn out, amazing design. That's something that we can do. But we do want to make sure that whatever's in your head, you're able to describe that to us, either on a napkin, through descriptive words, through a Pinterest board, however you want to provide that to us. We definitely want to make sure that we're putting into the artistic process exactly what's coming out of your brain. Along with that, we definitely don't like it whenever somebody calls up and says, hey, we got no idea, can you just make us something cool? Because that never really works out. We'll make you a blue jersey, and you're like, oh, I actually wanted a red jersey. And it's like, why didn't you just say you wanted a red jersey? Like, there's just a lot of things where you can come to us with multiple things. Our sales team will work with you to make sure that we're getting all of our answers or all of our questions answered before then. Also, we want to make sure that you are, if you are working with your team, to make sure that you are coming up with the clarity of ideas and designs based off of what your team is looking for, not just you specifically. Because we do have to make sure that the whole team wants to buy this and not just you, and then we have to trash it, and then we got to remake something else. So supply us with art ideas. Make sure you choose your team colors. Give us any past or current logos that you're using. The internet can be great, but it can also be horrible. So make sure that you are looking through. You can send us inspiration pictures, like I said, a Pinterest board, Google image links, stuff like that. But do recognize that there are copyright infringement issues, so we can't just recreate something that you find online. So always have that in the back of your head that you can give us inspiration images, but very few things can just be completely replicated. And let's see. Don't steal images. That's a big thing. Like that is a big thing we always tell all of our customers is copyright infringement is a big thing. So make sure that you're definitely using your own artwork or your own ideas. So what makes a good jersey design? First thing, it's how it represents you. A good jersey design should represent your team across the board. So that's a big theme. Understanding, like, if you want to look, a little bit more classy, maybe with the Mexico
good
side.
Descriptive word.
Classy, and then a little bit more loud with the Team US with the stars and stripes on the sleeve. So a little bit more, or like any of these loud shorts that we have right behind us. The designs are limitless, but we want to make sure that it does still look good. We don't want it to be looking trashy or, it has to have like a very nice cohesive kind of look to it. But yeah, good jersey design, we want to make sure it represents you. Everyone should love wearing it. A well thought out cohesive theme, complementary colors, and then a big thing is simple versus boring. Simple can be a very, very solid jersey design. Boring, that's just slapping a logo on it, but we can always add a couple little, items that might allow for it just to kick a little bit more, like add like an accent color somewhere, or maybe a little texture, especially on the fully sublimated side of things. And then also like eye-catching versus loud, busy. So you can definitely go crazy, again, like the shorts behind us, but you definitely don't want to do, you don't want to do stripes and what's the thing that you don't ever do? Stripes and polka dots. Like, it's not the best thing to match the two, but sometimes it works. It works. It can work, but you have to own it. It's definitely like anything out there. That's where we're going. And also, some key things is like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So you don't want to just add things just because you can add them. And more can be more, but also less can be more. And understand that the personality of your team should be reflected in the jersey design. So when people are walking out there, anything we're missing on the design side?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of little ticky-tacky things we always just want to be kind of mindful of. Yeah. So jerseys do get hemmed. There are hems at the collar. There are hems down here, right here. Oftentimes when we think about this blank canvas, it makes sense on paper to say, I want it to look like this. Each of these are sewn inside out and one at a time. So, having minor shifts in the fabric, and you can see it actually right there, how the star doesn't line up perfectly. I mean, it's mostly there, but it does miss the mark just a tad. So designing a lot across seams, can be difficult to manage. Another thing that you'll want to look out for, just from kind of an overhaul, cohesive, and visually appealing design aesthetic, you'll want to make sure that focal points like your team logo or like major design elements aren't being hidden, obscured, or complicated by things that are around it, behind it, crossing things over it, and you just want to be careful about how that design looks. Things that are legible are meant to be legible, i.e. player names and player numbers. So we need to be very careful about font selection, and also making sure that all of the font is read when you're looking through font choices and when you're looking at mock-ups. We do always provide the entirety of the alphabet and all numbers when a font is provided to us or a font is selected by our artist, so that there is always the opportunity for teams to say, I don't like how that number 7 looks, I don't like how that F is placed, things like that. So do always pay attention to things that are supposed to be read and font selection. There was one more in my head.
Well, while you think about it, also a big thing is don't assume anything. So whenever our production department, which is right next door, starts working on your apparel, and we chose a font and you approve the font, and then it says Frank on the back, and it's F with a giant space, R-A-N-K, because the F has a weird kind of thing. They will bring it to our attention sometimes, but other times they won't. And so we want to make sure that we're bypassing any of those issues on the front end, as opposed to while we're doing that, because that will cause a delay in your production time. Anytime there's any kind of question mark there. Also, it sometimes is overlooked whenever that stuff does happen, and then we have to remake it if there was an error on our side, or it's a paid-for error on your side to get that recreated. So the more information and the more understanding up front before it goes into production is always the best thing. Also, we want to make sure that if there's any designers out there, if you ever need any help and you're trying to design on our product and you want to go ahead and make something happen, we are here to assist you on that. So we can answer questions, we can walk you through our processes, we can tell you the do's and don'ts. So just reach out to us, and it's something that we can do a nice little 10-15 minute conversation of how to do some things. We definitely we do everything vectorized, so everything needs to be done on Adobe Illustrator. We get things from Photoshop and PSD files, and we have to replicate those and redo them. So usually the conversation before you start designing saves us a lot of time as well as you, and it'll come out more like of what is in your head, as opposed to getting something and saying, wait a minute, why is that logo slightly different from what I created? And we have to say, well, we had to redesign it because it was not in the format that we required.
Yeah. And for those wondering, what is vector and why do we use it? So vector files are Illustrator, SVG, and EPS files. They're created in layers that can be separated and can be expanded at the will of the artist. Oftentimes Photoshop images and files, items aren't separated in that way and cannot be expanded or shifted the way we need them to, especially with regards to color. And I know a lot of the teams out there are very specific about their color choices. So outlining that to your sales rep at any company is going to be, a critical part of getting the product that you expect, making sure that you're not relying on the color that you see on your screen through a digital representation to assume what color you will get out of the product that you receive.
Yeah, coloring is definitely one of the biggest responses we'll get from a team if they're usually displeased, is how come this turned out this color? We definitely have safeguards in place. We have, where you have to sign and, explanations of what you're agreeing to before that. We do take blame if it's ever our fault, and we will do whatever we can do to make it fixed. Also, if it is your fault, we do as much as we can, either do it at a decreased price to try to get it out there. We want you to be happy. But do recognize that we do have policies in place to make sure that we are protecting ourselves, and also you as well, to make sure that what we're getting out there is there. Main thing with colors is we have some pretty great, color matching software. We have opportunities of doing things, but the easiest thing to do really is to tell us a professional or a college color that we can easily find a Pantone match for. So, hey, I love the Miami Dolphins green, the teal. It's like, awesome. We can definitely match that color with our Pantone book because not many people have Pantone books.
Yeah.
So you can base it off of just, a normalized top-level pro or college team coloring system, and we can turn around and find what that color matches. That way you can be like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
We can match
And
that.
if you are an artist out there and you're wondering about this Pantone book, highly recommend it. You're going to need it for your future.
Yeah, get it uncoded and a coded.
Yeah.
We use, what do we use? Coded?
We use coded.
We use coded,
Yeah.
just so everybody knows.
But let's move along. So just in recap, that's kind of the process and the questions and answers we take most teams through as they come through us for jerseys and apparel. It can be a lengthy conversation, but we do want teams to understand what they're getting, how it's made, and just manage the expectation of what's going to show up at their doorstep. We want everyone to be excited, and that excitement is going to be difficult if you get something that you don't expect. So we do have that conversation pretty frequently, the one we just had with you about apparel design and the process involved. But if you ever have any questions about it, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. So we're going to move on to the second part of this segment.
Yes!
Yeah, it's the important part. It's the part that everyone's kind of wondering about. What is this thing? How do sponsorships work? How do you get that money? Sponsorships are huge, and we hope that each of you is able to get one, if not many of them. And because it will help your team grow, it will help the sport grow. You'll have money to spend. Todd's going to go into it first, and then we're going to go through some details on what this looks like from both of our perspectives.
Sure, definitely. So uniforms are one of the biggest team budget items out there. It's that and probably travel kind of equate to the same thing depending on how far you go. But also uniforms are something that you have to just kind of dish out at the very beginning. Uniforms are the epitome of a team. You want to make sure that everybody looks the same. Uniforms, it's usually required. And also, all of those amazing movies, all the sports movies, Mighty Ducks, and, switching out to the jerseys and getting their jerseys for the first time, like just all the mantras of getting your uniforms, like it's a big deal, especially for some of those newcomers to the sport. Like it's one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, I belong. And so make sure that you really recognize the effectiveness of the jersey and the uniform being part of a team, and that's just the very first step. And I do want to throw in here right now, always try to get your uniforms ordered before the season starts. Please don't wait until, hey, we have regionals coming up and we need them in 3 weeks, because we'll do our best to make it happen, but then you're just spending all this money to buy one event uniform because you didn't make it to nationals.
No, go make it a national.
Oh,
You can do it. I believe in you.
Yeah, we also call it nationals because it's just, it's the national event. But yeah, the Quidditch Cup Championship. So we definitely want to make sure that everybody's there. But yeah, so uniforms are the biggest team budget item that there is. So the first thing we want you to do is we want you to determine what your player budget is. Our average players will spend $100 per player. Some spend a lot more, some spend a lot less, depends on where they are. And this is a great starting point for your sponsorship, because you can say, okay, cool. Our budget per person is $100 and per person, and the goal is to get that down to $50 per person, or I want more stuff for that $100. So it allows you to start understanding what you're looking to get out of your sponsorship dollars. Determining what the money is that's provided by the school club or sports department, whatever, any other money that's coming in, as well as if you're doing any dues. Make sure that you're putting all that together. Just a nice spreadsheet budget really can go a long way, which is figuring out how much money you need, what you're looking to spend it on, and if there's any extra money that's coming in that maybe you're not accounting for. Again, club sports department is giving you $200 to help the season out. Determine what is required and what is optional for teams to purchase. This is another big opportunity to figure out what your sponsorship dollars are going to go to. Everybody is required to have a home and away and a pair of shorts and a headband. Like, put that as the requirement, and then say, oh, and you can also buy a hoodie, you can buy a jacket, you can buy joggers, you can buy an extra long sleeve jersey, you can buy all these other things, but that should be more of an optional thing. One of the main goals of these sponsorships, and what we're always trying to encourage, is to make it just more approachable for anybody to play the sport. So having a wide range of, it's going to cost you $100, but some people might pay $500 for all these extra things that they do throughout the season. But maybe somebody that doesn't have that kind of money, they're at that $100 level, and that's all they can do. So make sure you kind of keep that in your brain of how to kind of create these things. I'm going to hand over the sponsorship versus discounts for Dan, which is always a fun conversation. He gets these, every day?
And probably every day.
Okay.
So, as one of the leads for, sales and business development at VI, it is very commonplace for me to get an email from a variety of team leaders, and one of their first questions is probably, will you sponsor my team? And it's a very valid question. Teams are out there, they're trying to survive, trying to make the sport affordable, trying to lower that cost of entry, trying to grow their team and in turn grow the sport. So it's not something that I take lightly by any means, but it is something that is very challenging to answer. Because the short answer is yes, sure, we can sponsor your team. But that sponsorship is maybe not what you thought it was going to be. So I want to posit this kind of alternative scenario. Let's think about like a large company like Nike or Adidas going out there and saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to sponsor the entire sport of football. If you play football, you now get free stuff from us. We can probably presume that those companies might not last very long. And in the same way, if we were to say, hey, Quidditch, we now sponsor all of you, it would be very difficult for us to survive as a company. Like I mentioned before, I love this company. I'd like it to survive. So that's not a reality that we can really call into existence. Instead, what we say, to most teams is, we really support you. We want you to be successful. We understand that, paying full retail price for all these items is probably not within your budget. We can offer you these discounts. And in that way, we'll subsidize, this portion of your uniform budget and call that a sponsorship. Really, it's just a discount. It's a discount because we appreciate you. We appreciate the value you bring to growing the sport, the value you may bring to, representing us well when you travel, throwing little social media shout outs out there. And, we do pay attention to those things. We pay attention to what teams, are out there saying, we love what we've gotten. We'd like you to support VI Apparel as well. And maybe the next year, we really like what you did. Here's a little bit extra discount. Thank you for that. But, those discounts and subsidies, as we say, aren't really technically sponsorships. And the reason they're not sponsorships is because we don't really expect a return on it. We don't really think to ourselves, you know what, we're going to give them this money, and then we're going to make a lot more money later from them because of it. Obviously, there's that, returning customer mentality, and we'd love to have you back. But it's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal in that transaction is to say, you know what, we want to support this team. We will provide this discount. That's great. When we do sponsor teams, when we do say, hey, we want to sponsor you, what we're looking at in that scenario is saying, we're going to provide you all of this value, and in return, we expect A, B, C, D, E, F, X, Y, Z. And, that is really the legitimate structure of a sponsorship. So over the next, 10, 20 minutes, we're going to go over what that might look like from you as a team and how to present that and say, you know what, we're going to go get a sponsorship. Now, how do I do that?
I like it.
Thanks.
So big thing is how to attract sponsorships. That's our next topic that we're saying right now. And it's going to be, the first thing I want you to do is dedicate a sponsorship board member. And I would go as far as saying get two. You should always, either be a college team or a community team, you want to always have somebody that can fall in place if that other person were to leave in the future, either graduate or move out of town or just stop playing. So you want to make sure that you have something that's growing year after year. Now, this dedicated sponsorship board member should be somebody that has sales experience, marketing experience, but make sure they are outgoing. They will have to go into a restaurant. They will have to go into somewhere, and they will have to say, I want you to give me money. If they cannot do that, do not give them that job because you won't get any money from anybody, even if it's just all email, stuff like that. You need somebody that's definitely an outgoing individual. Next thing is to create a detailed sponsorship sheet or a package or a sponsorship deck. Man, sponsorship is a very hard word for me to say. I don't know
so
why.
that's the qualifier too. They got to be able to say
I
sponsorship.
can't say it, so I'll change my wording to something else of just give me money pack. But it's to explain who, what, where, when, and why to make sure that it's very clear and concise. I'm going to hand it over to Dan to kind of go through all of those.
I do also read a bunch of these, which is interesting. I'm going to give you a little story. I'm going to make it brief because the first time we did this in rehearsal, I made it way too long, and Todd made fun of me.
It was just a little long.
One of my first years at VI Apparel Company, I had a young man who was captain of a dodgeball club, reach out to me and say, "Hey, will you help me get sponsors?" And this was a new one for me because I got, "Will you sponsor me? Will you sponsor me? Will you help me get sponsors?" That was just kind of fresh and was like intrigued, but also a little bit skeptical. It's like, "What do you mean help me get sponsors? Are you just trying to put me in a corner here?" And so no, he was very genuine. He was like, I want to find sponsors so I can afford these uniforms. Can you help me do it? So together we worked together. We put together a deck about his team, about what they were looking for, and they were able to get $1,500 that year. Just from local sponsorships. And it was a really exciting moment for both myself and obviously that team because it validated this process that we're about to go through. It really showed that, if you put the work in, if you do these things thoughtfully, that return is there. It's out there. You can find businesses that are willing to support small teams, small local teams, and want that exposure and that marketing opportunity. So to go into the who, what, when, where, and why, these are all the important questions to answer in any scenario, right? But the way you answer them in this deck is going to be kind of critical to your success. So let's go through each of them and make sure you are doing the best you can to outline those items and get the sponsorships. As far as the who, there's the obvious parts. There's, your team name, things that people are looking for, like social media, exposure.
What is Quidditch? Like just a quick blurb about like.
Quidditch. Yeah, and then like the demographic of your team, but also like don't be afraid to modify this per potential sponsor you're going to. In the same way, we've been taught to change resumes to be applicable to the job that you're applying for. You may want to leave a little room to change this deck for each potential sponsor that you're going to approach. If you're going to restaurants, maybe you want to highlight who, how close you are to the restaurant, what people have eaten there in the past, what people have said about it in the past. If you're going to go to a technology store like Best Buy or something, maybe highlight like everyone on our team, is a gamer. This is an important facet. Our team spent a total aggregate of $20,000 in technology last year. Include your cell phones. Like this is all important stuff for your potential sponsor to know that they wouldn't have known if you don't tell them. So find things that highlight why you're important to that sponsor and do highlight them on that who sheet. Moving on to what. We're going to talk a little bit more about this, or Todd will a little bit later on. But when you say the what, you need to be specific. The worst sponsorship decks that I ever read are ones that just kind of go into, "Oh, we're so awesome, we're so great, you should do this, and, give us money." And then I get to the end, and I'm like, wait, but what are they asking for? I don't understand. And then the response always got to be like, "So you want me to, like, give you $10? Like, what?"
Sold!
$10. I'll take that
$10.
sponsorship any day. So be specific, don't let it be confusing. But more than being specific, be detailed. Business owners don't want to see a big number and not know what that's going to. They don't want to think, oh, like they want this $500, they're going to spend a lot of it on booze. Like that's a thought. Sports and booze do relate. That is just a natural cultural thing that has emerged from nowhere, not nowhere. So, be specific about what you're using it for. And also, it provides the opportunity for potential sponsors to really dedicate their funds to specific things that they would like to help with. If they know that your ask in total is $1,000 and they know that 20% of it will be spent on travel, then they might say, "You know what, I don't want to do all of this, but I'll give you $200 for travel. I'd like for you to see the country." Whatever it may be. So
they might give you a gas card.
Yeah.
Like they might be like, "This is better than giving you cash. Here's
Absolutely.
a whatever gas card."
Yeah, you never know what may come out of it if you're detailed and specific. So then the next is going to be where. And this one is pretty simple logically, right? Hey, we are from so-and-so place. We're from Springfield, whatever, America. That's not really what's important here. Answering this question is about matching your wear with the wear that the company needs.
Underwear?
Underwear. Under here? Underwear. So if you're a local team, obviously like a smaller local team with not much travel or national exposure, then national companies probably aren't the right fit for you. If you're the national team with your players spread across the country, then, local Gus's gyros isn't going to be right for you. So you're going to want to match the exposure and reach that you have with that the company wants, and demonstrate that. Don't just say what you think you should say. Just demonstrate with actual data. Here's what we have. Here's where we think you want to be. So is this a match? You got to play matchmaker. When is kind of a critical one. When is critical for a couple of different reasons. One is that most people are seeking sponsorships kind of in time. They say, oh, we need money now, so we should go get money now. That's the wrong strategy. If you need money now, you should think 6, 12, 18 months prior. We're going to need money then, so we should start now because we don't know when it will come in. Another reason that you want to think more like 18 months prior is because it gives you more than a year window, and you don't know when a company's marketing schedule falls and when your window of opportunity will be. It might not be at that moment, and maybe it's going to be 14 months from now when the cycle has gone all the way through. They don't really know what they're going to do with it, and they're thinking, oh, let's be creative. Let's try something new. And, that's really where you want to fall in that sponsorship ask. Another thing to think about with the when is figuring out rejection and what to do with it. Because the rejection often will come like, I don't want to do this right now. It's the go-to for business owners. I don't want to do this right now.
Nah, it's not for me right now.
Yeah, right now is always that phrase because it's non-abrasive, really.
It's not a no.
Yeah.
It's a maybe in the future, but it's most likely a no.
It's most likely a no. Yeah. And how to pivot that no into something better than, oh, when's a good time then? Because that's kind of like the natural conclusion. Oh, they said maybe. Maybe I should just ask when's a good time. The business owner doesn't care, and there's not going to be a good time. So you need to pivot the not now of that when answer into how can I demonstrate that they want to do this between now and the window of maybe later. Okay? So when a business owner says, I don't want to do this right now, you may want to ask them something to the effect of, oh, I understand that, this might not be something you want to get into right now. Is there something you have coming up? Maybe an event, maybe a promotion that, our team could get engaged with. And, we can show you that this is something that we're really honest and, legitimate about and dedicated to. And then maybe when that time does come later, you'll find that this is something you do want to do. So always turn that not now when into I want to make later work. Cool. And then finally the why.
The why! Now the big thing I'm going to chime in here is this should not be, everybody knows the why. You want money. You want money to do all these different things. That is understood. Any business owner knows if you're coming in saying you want money or you want a sponsorship and the why. So skip that completely.
Yeah, and that should be in the beginning of the deck anyways. I'm giving you this because I'm asking for the what. That is the real why. But, the why is like your final opportunity. And not to say that your deck should necessarily go in this order. But the why is the opportunity for you to demonstrate that you're committed to that company and the partnership, and that you've been thoughtful enough to understand that there is a reason somewhere the business should consider this a real chance. But the worst thing you can do in this section of your deck is to say anything to the effect of, this is a good opportunity for you. That email is an immediate delete from my inbox because I don't need someone else telling me what's a good opportunity for me generally. Every once in a while, there really is a good one out there. They probably could have sold it better. And B, it's too commonplace. It's too salesy from the get up, and there's no real thoughtfulness to it. There's just, I just know. I just know this is good for you. It's just kind of lame. So I would implore you not to use that line in your sponsorship deck. So the why should be answered from two different perspectives, like I mentioned, yours and theirs. when you answer your why, you want to be specific and relatable. And you want to show that, again, there's a commitment there. So, for instance, restaurants are an easy one to kind of cherry pick on this one. Hey, this is a sponsorship that we're seeking because we've always loved Bob's Burger Shack, Connie's Crab, extravaganza.
Just a bunch of shacks.
Yeah. And we really want the chance to share this food and message with the people that we're around. We want to bring teams here when they come traveling from out of town. We want to have our after match parties here. We want to have our after practice smoothies here. Whatever it may be, be very specific about how you are already connected with that business and how you want to expand that commitment, expand that relationship to benefit the business. As far as being empathetic and trying to understand why the business may be interested in something like this, I think this is also a good place where your demographic information and the who that you are comes into play in saying, hey, this is great. We want you to sponsor us because for you, it gives you reach to the 20, gamers that we have on staff. As a team of college students that will soon be entering the workforce, we really feel like your headhunting company is a good fit for this sponsorship. So just, be specific. Don't rely on the words, this is an opportunity for you. Relate to what the company's needs are and what your relationship with the company can and will be. Cool. That's all I got to say.
Perfect. A lot of information there, but it's very, very pertinent to how you're going to go out and make sure that you're going to give a quality sponsorship pitch. Wow, very good at this. I'm going to go through a couple last minute things, just kind of clear out so we can do some questions for about 10 minutes before the end of this broadcast. But main thing is how to price sponsorships. This is a big thing that a lot of people don't know how to start. So here's some great opportunities on how to kind of get this rolling. You have to showcase how the sponsor will be able to market, to make their marketing investment back 2 to 5 times whatever they're giving you. So when somebody comes to me and says, hey, I want you to give me $500, if I say yes, I'm expecting to make $1,000 to $2,500 off of that marketing spend. So please keep that in mind whenever you're doing this. So you don't want to oversell. You don't want to say, hey, I want $10,000 from you, because they're looking for a $50,000 marketing investment for that to come back. So just kind of keep that in your head of that quick math. Double it, multiply it by 5. That's kind of the range that companies are looking for whenever they do a marketing spend. So again, if I get $500 and I give it to a team, I'm looking for $2,500, and that's a great sponsorship. If it's less than that, I don't know if I'm going to do it again next year. So it definitely has to exceed expectations. Definitely keep track of past sponsorships and data to be able to provide for following years. Back to that exact same sponsor, and then also you can use that data to then go and get other sponsors. Like, hey, we work with Bob's Burgers, and this is how much business we were able to bring to them. And here's a nice letter that they wrote to us that said they were able to take their $250 sponsorship, and they were able to recognize that they were able to sell another $800 because of it. So it's definitely something that's really good there. Don't overestimate the sponsorship value. You definitely need to back up what you're selling. Average community team should be able to raise $1,000. That's usually what you're kind of looking for, up to $5,000. But please recognize that if you are looking for $5,000 sponsorship, you need to be able to execute $25,000 of new business revenue for those sponsors. So even if you're getting 5 different sponsors giving you $1,000, that's great, but you do need to equate that to $10,000 to $25,000 worth of revenue that they would not have gotten if they didn't sign with you. So just keep that in mind, that that's what they're looking for. And then also, whenever you do make this deck, have different sponsorship levels. The bronze, silver, gold, platinum is always a good kind of thing. Starting out small, definitely make it worth it to you, though. We usually encourage least $100. I would even go as high as $250 as the lowest, just to make sure it's worth it for you to do that, and then bump that up $500, $1,000, $2,500. But make sure that each of those different levels allow for the best opportunity that you can provide them. So it can be like, hey, logo on the website, logo on logo on a jersey, a bigger logo on the jersey, and just keep adding and adding and adding to make sure that the value that you're bringing in provides them that. And that's really a big opportunity, is to make sure that your deck and your prices are on point. Because if you oversell yourself, you're not going to get any sponsorships. If you undersell yourself, you may be not getting as much money as you potentially could get. So make sure that you kind of think of all that prior to going out and speaking to different sponsors. A couple things left is the alumni connection. That's a big thing that we always try to encourage and push. If you're a college team, make sure that you're creating an alumni connection somehow. Make an email marketing list. Make sure you're communicating with the alumni. Have an alumni game. Those are alumni that are fresh out of college that probably don't have a lot of, if they're making any money, they're able to give some of the money back to you instead of directly to the school, because they're getting phone calls immediately after school to give back alumni money. And they also understand how difficult it is sometimes to be on a team and also going to school or doing that. So they're more willing to give you money. And the last thing is, a lot of these alumni are fresh blood in new businesses. And so they may have an opportunity to say, hey, my Quidditch team is looking for sponsors, boss man or boss woman, and we would like for you to take a look at their deck, and they might be able to help alleviate some of these sponsorship hurdles that you're going to have to take, because they know who to give it to, and they can also sell it on your behalf. And so yeah.
Cool. And finally, like the last avenue in any sort of capital raise, usually the first avenue, but the last thing to mention here is other friends, fans, family. These are people that you're naturally immediately connected to. I would say right now, with regards to this conversation, it's really important as a team to try to keep all of these people involved and connected as much as possible. Because if you are out there trying to seek money, they're the people that are most likely to give it to you at the easiest kind of line. And we've created a couple of ways at VI Apparel to make sure that opportunity is available for your friends, family, and fans to give to your team. One of the ways that we allow jersey ordering and uniform ordering to happen is through our team marketplace. If you haven't used our team marketplace, it's been really, I want to say revolutionary, but who knows if it's that revolutionary. It's been a great function for our teams to be able to send their players to the site to not have to collect information like names, sizes, numbers, and the money too. The money is hard. So once you have the money, we have created a place for your team to be able to spend it to get their uniforms. But we've also made it a way that those that you're engaged with, those that support your team, are able to buy your products to earn your team's credit for future apparel orders. And then we've also implemented, as of 2 years ago, the Greenbacker program, which is just a fundraising page. We essentially act as a payment processor for you. Funds can be returned to you in cash. We also offer a bonus if you do intend to use that money with us on apparel, so more funds can be generated in that way. We put your story on our site. We give you a link, just like your GoFundMe's or your Indiegogos. We help you develop the site, which is a little bit of a bonus. And then you get it out there to those that support you and see if they want to put their money where their mouth is. And you're able to raise money in this way to add to your budgetary needs.
And with the Greenbacker, we've also implemented different sponsorship values inside of it as well. So it is a great opportunity to create something, go out to businesses and have them go directly there so they can take out their credit card and pay for your sponsorship right there. So there is an opportunity to kind of lump the two together.
Great. We've gone through a lot as far as sponsorship. And, of course, if you have any questions about this, we're more than happy to answer it. Don't know if we'll have too much time to do that after this session. It turns out Todd and I talk more than we thought we did. I think what it boils down to is this is work. As you all build your teams and build this sport, each individual team becomes, this enterprise. It becomes this little micro business, and we feel like you should treat it as such, and you'll see the return on that. And that starts with kind of developing this culture that y'all want to see this legacy continue. You want to see the team continue to grow, whether you're a part of it or not, and to have those positions and understand that It's work starting that culture. It's work executing on the commitments you make to your sponsors and the returns that they will receive. And that there's a lot of organization and a lot of kind of thoughtfulness that has to go into attracting a sponsorship and making sure that those can be repeatable. So hopefully you found at least a little value in some of the information we provided. I'm happy to replicate the dodgeball story with maybe like 2 more people. I don't know if I would take on that many, but so that's VII Apparel.
Yeah, well, thank you all so much. We have a couple minutes left. Dan's going to head on out, but we are going to stick around, do a couple quick questions. We are both available through viiapparel.co. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions, need anything for team gear. And yeah, high fives, everybody.
Alrighty, I'd like to thank you all very much for attending this video session. We don't have time to do a live video Q&A. However, if you head on over to our Slack channel, that is SAT11 VII Design, Todd will be there answering your questions, and you can interact with other people who were watching in on this panel. I'd like to give a quick shout out to our partnership with This Is How We Fly, young adult Quidditch novel. Highly recommend you pick it up. And thank you very much for attending this session at QuidCon. We'll see you in the next one.